Go for it.
All right, it's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout video, and Jonathan and Mary are going to give us a demonstration of glass blowing. You hear the noise in the background. It's the furnace and the vent and everything. And Jonathan, take it away. Tell us what you're going to be doing. Okay.
All right. So over here, I have a stainless steel blow rod. I'm going to go into our furnace here, running at 2100 and some change. Get a small gather of glass on the end of that rod. You can see it coming out nice and molten, looking like a ball of honey on the end of a stick. I love it. So I'm going to give it a quick roll out on our marvering table here. It's just going to help shape the glass a little bit, cool it down a touch, and to pull some of that material off the end of the pipe. Once I get it down to a nice, small, rounded shape, I incorporate a little bit of air. We're going to start our bubble inside. As you can see, we just started a bubble inside of that molten glass.
He makes that part look easy.
Yeah, that's the easy part. Next thing we're going to do is just let this cool down a little bit. I'm going to incorporate another layer over the top of this before I start coloring and shaping. So I want to make sure that this is cooled down enough so when I go back into that furnace, everything just doesn't collapse and turn into a big pile of mush. We've gotten down to the point where it's going to get solid, so I'm going to get another layer of clear glass over the top of this one, and then I'll start coloring. Back into the furnace we go. Another gather around the end of that pipe. Now I got that molten glass is still moving on the end. I go back to the table, pull it down a hair. Now I'm going to start incorporating one of the greatest colors ever in glass, some cobalt blue. I'm picking up frit today, which is small, broken up shards of pre-colored glass. That frit will then get melted into that clear layer and incorporate and become one.
So people ask us a lot, like, when does it get orange? Or they ask us if it's going to turn out orange. That orange color you're seeing is just from the high heat. It's about 2100 degrees right now. But everything is starting off as completely clear, and then he is giving it the color pickup right now. So we're going for a blue with another color of sparkly blue on top of it here.
So now I'll do a back and forth of coloring and reheating inside of the furnace here. So I'm waiting for that frit, those crystalline pieces of color, to melt down into the lower level of that clear glass and become one. And while I'm working the glass, I'm always keeping in mind rotating, keeping gravity at bay the entire time. With that heat, it wants to pull down that glass to the floor. Now that I have a layer of cobalt blue, I'm going to add in a little bit of white to help highlight that color before I add on that sparkly blue. Now you see a little bit of white around the bottom 2/3. Again, just going back into that furnace for reheat. That's going to happen pretty quickly, so I'm going to move right into that sparkly blue.
So we also have this other piece of equipment here that's called our glory hole. It is also a reheating oven. So we use that when we do larger pieces, but it's serving the same purpose as him going back into the furnace for now, just melting and getting things hot again. We turn that on when we've got a lot going on, but for smaller things or our more day-to-day reheating in this furnace has been keeping it from being really, really hot in here.
Sure.
So,
Now I've added on that layer of powderized, what's called aventurine blue. It has a high copper content, which allows it to give it almost like a metallic glitter sparkle. So I've got the amount of color I'd like to use for this piece on the end of the rod. I'm going to put it into a mold to create some patterns. It is just a pointed mold that will give high and low density of the color before we start blowing it out. All right. Quickly, I got the all aluminum cast mold here. I'm going to press it into there and I'll show you with the pattern that it makes on the surface of the glass. You can see those high and low lines, those ridges moving. So everywhere that there is a ridge downward into the material, it'll create a dense spot of color. Everywhere that it's raised will actually be thinner layer of color than the dense area. Do one final melt out. I'm going to give it a little bit of a twist in the pattern as well. Give it a little bit of movement. All right. Now I got a little twist in there, give it a little bit of motion and action. Do one meltdown and I'm going to smooth it all back down. It'll keep that pattern but won't have those high points when we go to blow it out. That'll cause some shaping issues. So I'll thin it out a little bit, shape her down a little bit, get her ready. My paper on the bunch. Yeah. I won't need it this time, but I will next.
so I'm bringing him one of his favorite tools. This is a wet piece of newspaper.
A wet piece of newspaper.
Yep, so
Okay.
he's actually going to use that as one of his hand shaping tools. The high carbon content in the newspaper steams off and allows a really nice slide. And believe it or not, he can put his hand right on there and it won't burn him. Knock on wood, right?
Quick shake down, go to that paper, give it a little bit to smooth it out a little further. I'm going to incorporate a little bit more air into here. We got her filled up a little bit now. We're going to go back in for one more layer of clear over the top of this. Help increase the size of this vessel, as well as give a little magnification onto the color.
I can see it's becoming pretty already.
I hope so. Now, the fun thing about glass is we always know that there's a risk of breakage, so we never guarantee anything when it's on the end of the pipe. Only when it gets into the box we start to really appreciate it and to value it.
Even then.
Even then, yeah, we just can't. All right, so again,
Best
just like
the
that.
next morning.
Yeah. Just like that first layer of clear, I'm letting this set up a little bit, cool down, so it doesn't turn into a soupy mess when I come out of there. Now she's cooled down enough, I'm going to go get one more gather of clear over the top of this. Back into the furnace. Nice big old scoop of clear. have plenty of material to work with what I need to make. Right here I have a cherry wood block that'll help cool down that layer of clear over the top as well to shape it. We got her down to shape. I'm going to go back to my favorite tool real quick. Give it a little bit more pull off. Give a little bit more density at the bottom of this vessel. Now we've gotten all of the mass we need. We've done our coloring. We have our pattern inside already. Now the fun part. Expand it out a little bit more. And the next thing I have to do is set a line where I want the top of the vessel to be, that we're gonna have to break it off of this pipe later, and that'll be our guiding line.
You want me over there this time?
What?
Do you need to blow?
Actually, maybe. I got big jacks over there. You bring the big jacks over. Get her nice and hot. All right. Now we'll start to set that line on the top. I have a tool over here called jack. The high carbon steel. I'll keep it from melting down and being one with that glass. So you can see I'm just kind of moving back and forth, cutting in that hard line. I want the top of this vessel to be. I'm going to have Mary over here give it a little bit of air to help increase that size while I try to cool it down from expanding too quickly. That'll do for now. All right, so we're expanded out about 1/2 to 3/4 of the size we need. When I get a little bit more heat, we're going to stretch this out just a little bit. And we'll start finishing out the blow. Give it a little bit of a pendulum. Just go back and forth, nice and easy. Stretching that out, getting a little bit more height to this vessel. I'll do one more reheat before we do our final big blow. You can see we've expanded her out quite a bit. Now again, Mary's gonna blow real quick while I shape the rest of this vessel out. All right, Don? All right, that'll do it. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit of heat and then I'm gonna set down the bottom. Create a base for this to sit on. splash here in a second.
Okay.
All right. I want to make sure I have something large enough as a base for it to sit on. That'll do us. Now we're up to the most sensitive part of the whole process, the transfer.
Are we gonna have room?
What?
We're gonna have room here? I'm gonna make a terrible noise, I'm sorry.
Leave it be.
All right.
All right, so Mary's gonna get on a solid rod, a small bit of glass that we're gonna attach to the bottom here, crack off the top here, then we'll be able to start opening it up.
So this is really where you see the team spirit come into play here. He can do this by himself if he needs to, but it's just easier
Yeah,
and
it's usually
safer.
not quite worth the risk.
Higher success rate with a second person.
Just gonna cool down a little bit more while she starts shaping up that punny.
So this is just called a punny. It's just a piece of glass that's going to allow him to transfer that piece onto here. He's shaped the bottom, and now we'll open it up so he can shape the top.
Am I giving you guys enough room?
You're okay, yeah.
Okay, great.
I would call it the splash zone, but you're good.
You're good. All right, I'm gonna add a little drip of water on that hard line I said earlier, one tap,
Boing.
and now it's on her rod.
All right.
So now that the bottom is shaped how I need it to be shaped, I don't have to do a whole lot of heat onto that bottom half of this vessel. So I'm going to be mostly sectionally heating just the top. Now the first thing I got to do, because that top didn't break so great, rarely ever breaks perfectly, darn near never breaks perfectly, we're going to heat up that very top lip of the piece, and then we're going to trim it down. Get it nice and even across the board. Short. I'll just come in for little short flashes just to make sure that we maintain temperature into that punny seal as well throughout the rest of our piece. One more flash. Okay, now I'll be bringing it out to trim. You can see just that lip of that piece is nice and glowing. Oh, I got a special pair of high carbon steel duck-billed scissors or shears over here. Trim off that edge. Get us back to a nice round semblance, good and flat.
You don't need a
So
panel, right? You're
here in the
ruffling.
next two heats are when things are going to get real fun. Again, I'm going to be sectionally heating just the top in an effort to start to centrifugally open this piece. Might do one opening first. Let me do one opening first. So the same tool that we used to cut down that line where the top of the piece was, we're going to use that same tool to open up the body of this vessel and the lip of this vessel a little bit before we centrifugally throw it out. Open it up just a little bit, just so I help even out the throw out here. And now this is where the magic happens. I'm going to be getting an extra hot inside of this furnace. I'll start increasing the speed of my rotation as I use centrifugally open this vessel. Then we're going to have some fun with the lip and let it ruffle into a nice natural form. Because we went into that mold to shape our color, it'll help shape our design as well, because those denser lines of color will get hotter faster and therefore want to move a little bit quicker than the rest of it. So it's starting to open up very slightly inside of the furnace.
All right, so things are going to move quickly here.
Now that it's started to open, I'll increase the speed of that centrifugal motion and then slight tilt down. Nice little wavies in there.
So now we've got that classic ruffle bowl shape. And that's going to be a sparkly one. Can't quite see it yet, but that one will be nice and sparkly in the morning. Give them the money shot.
Now it's time to put this piece into that annealing oven to sit overnight so it can cool down nice and gradual. I'm going to come over to Mary, who has some Kevlar gloves on. I'm going to give it a small tap with this bat.
Boom, there she
right off of
is.
that funny rod. Very nice.
And that piece will be available tomorrow.
That one will be ready first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay, let me show some of your works of art here.
Please.
And some of your bowls, and turn the camera around a little bit so that we can show some of these. These are all new. These bowls are all new, recent efforts, and they're all for sale here. So you want to check these out. And as you can see, he makes them all in the furnace, and they come out looking like the one that just did. And they're all gorgeous, and they're all for sale here. You can come by. Like I say, they're in the alley next to Advantage Credit Union. And when are you guys open anyway?
Oh, that's the best part of what we do.
Our hours are somewhat irregular because of that cool down schedule that we have for our annealer. Our sweet spot tends to be between 12 and 5, but sometimes we're here much earlier or much later than that. But yeah, we also do a lot of custom work, a lot of larger pieces as well. We actually just hung up one of our chandeliers on spec the other day, so that's right above you there. And we like to do large illuminated things as well, or things that are custom made to fit special spaces.
Okay. So I'll show the chandelier you were talking about. It's beautiful. It really is. So that's fantastic. Do you take Visa and MasterCard, or is it all cash?
Yeah, we can do cash, card, PayPal, Venmo, whatever.
Venmo, all
pretty
that
much,
good
yeah,
stuff?
pretty much anything.
Oh, Cash App. We have no problem taking the money.
We don't.
Okay. Well, great. Thanks for talking with us. This is a longer video than what we normally do, but we wanted to get the demonstration in. Mary, why don't you get back in the frame there with Jonathan?
All right. Well, we appreciate the opportunity.
Okay.
It's been nice getting to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And again, tell us how people can contact you if they have questions.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram. Facebook is really the messenger, is usually our fastest correspondence time. So yeah, feel free to reach out or stop by anytime.
Okay, and thanks for joining us. Thanks for the demonstration, and thanks for bringing this to
Thanks so
Newton.
much.
We're very appreciative
Absolutely.
of it.
Oh, we're blessed.
Happy to be here.
Okay, and happy holidays.
Yeah, Merry
Yes,
Christmas, happy holidays.
holidays.